Hello there and welcome to today's fun and exciting painting. Today we're going to learn how to paint 3 different types of beautiful flowers that are perfect for beginners. But before we get started, let me introduce you to some of the materials we'll be using. First up, we have this pointed brush by KUM in the size number 10. You can use any paintbrush you have as long as it's a pointy brush. And of course, we can't forget about this trusty sketchbook that will be your go-to canvas for this amazing flower creation. You can repeat this exercise on other watercolor paper or a canvas or even in acrylic if you like. Now that we have our materials ready, let's get started on our first flower. We're going to start with something simple but incredibly beautiful, a pink flower. This method of painting flowers is really easy for beginners, uses just a few colors and a really loose method. I'm going to show you how to achieve a wonderful and beautiful look easily and quickly in just a few minutes. At the flower now, I've gone into the crimson color in my palette and added a bit of water there and gone straight onto the page, painting from the center to the top of the petals, starting out just dragging the brush, going a little bit thinner to the top, and then for the sides just going in from the middle outwards, just very loosely, as you can see, just dragging the brush up and down using the top third part of the point on the brush. So I'm turning the brush in my hand around, because what that does is it just gets a little bit different shapes of petals as I'm going around, and then neatening it up towards the bottom. These flowers are also super simple and they only require just a few movements for each brush stroke. Flowers are quite delicate, so when you're painting them, it's always a good idea to try and hold the delicacy. For the leaf now, the main stem, I'm just going in with some sap green that I add a bit of viridian green to, mix it up. And then also with the point, I'm just going to just create a little bit of a base, which is like a soft triangle, and then drag the stem straight down. For the side flowers as well, same thing, just kind of sketching in loosely this piece of stem and then a little bit thicker towards the base of the flower. It's okay if the green touches the pink because you'd like it to run a little bit into the flower. And then for the leaf, putting down the brush and dragging it out, joining it a little bit at the top here, creating a point, sketching it very loosely and lightly, because that is the whole point of it, is just to drag the brush here and there and create a subtle motion and not really an overworked detailed flower. And you'll see I just press the brush down so that the bristles fray out just a little bit, and then that drags the paint ever so slightly, and then just touching up where I'd like it to be a little bit darker. While it's still wet, you can pull the colors in at the bottom where naturally the flower would end up being a little bit darker, and there's really no thought much to it. I don't have a reference here when I'm painting this. I'm just going by feel. I have painted flowers many times before, but if you copy the motions and copy the movements, then you'll be able to get a similar effect. Going into the next flower here, this one I'm going to do a blue flower. So we're going in with a dark blue, and I'm just going to lightly drag some petals. Also, I don't have a reference here, so I'm just going by pressing down the brush. It's creating an idea of petals, and I'm sort of thinking about those long stemmed flowers that have a lot of sort of buds all the way down its first stem. So like where the first flower would be sort of like a bowl shape, these are almost sort of repeating the type of leaf shape that you would make, and then just pressing down the brush and letting the brush itself make the mark. Repeating this movement now all the way down to the bottom, similar as I go, and possibly creating a larger petal size as you get to the bottom. For the green on this flower, I'm just going into the same green that I used before and touching in here and there in the middle where the leaves would naturally be, and then dragging it down on the stem. going in again so that I can create some leaves here, and then just very simply pushing down on the paintbrush. For these leaves, I'm just naturally letting the brush do the work, and I'm not creating the actual leaf shape, but more just pushing the brush down, create the shape. Final flower, we're going to be doing a 5-petaled, also super simple and easy for beginner flower. And for this one, we're going to go in with the yellows and the reds, spraying down the paints to get a little bit extra moisture there. And same as before, we are just going to use the tip of the brush to tap down the petals in a circle shape. And then just dragging the color out. You can fill it completely, or you can leave open space in the center to make a center of a flower in a different color later on. But also really simple, just tapping down the tip of the brush very roughly and loosely, as in suggestion of the petals. I'm going to follow this all the way down to the end, creating these 5-petal flowers as we go, loosely touching down the paintbrush as I go along. And as I get to the bottom of the flowers here, I'm just going to make the petals a little bit larger and then also flare them out a little bit more. Once that part is complete, I'm touching down in the centers of each petals, just with a little bit darker color to create some definition. At the leaves now, I'm also just going to go in with that same sap green viridian mixture and tapping down here and there, dragging the paint out as in a stripe, just for suggestion of the leaves. That's why these flowers are super, super simple, because they're just dragging the color out here and there. After doing the leaves, and once those petals are dried a little bit more, I'm just going in with a darker red color to tap into the center again, just with a little bit of a darker tone. And this creates some depth in these really abstract flowers. You can also tap down in the center of the flower with a completely different color, possibly a brown, or even if you want to be bolder blue or whatever color you want to create the center of the flowers. You could even dot the flowers in the center to create more of a center for the flowers than just leaving it open, or you could leave the centers open. It's completely up to you. And that's it. 3 easy, fun, and beautiful flowers that you can paint with just a few simple materials. So grab your paintbrush and sketchbook and start creating some amazing artwork. If you found value out of this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and happy painting. Bye for now. Until the next one.